U.S. President Donald Trump is not backing down on his idea to relocate the population of the Gaza Strip to other Arab nations like Egypt and Jordan. But is this idea even feasible? What is the reality on the ground? Well, let's bring former IDF reconnaissance unit soldier and my dear friend Yoav Rotem into the discussion. Yoav, shalom.
Shalom, Raj.
Let me quote Trump verbatim just so that we can start there, and then I want to get your thoughts. So here's a few of the things he said. He says, you're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out the whole thing. It's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything is demolished and people are dying there. And so I'd rather get involved with some Arab nations and build housing at a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change. She said that on Sunday. Yoav, what are your thoughts?
Look, it's not a new thought here in Israel. Politically, the right wing in Israel is talking about it, but I think after October 7th, a lot of people have been trying to say that for the sake of the Gazans people, the U.S. government have tried from the beginning of the conflict for many years to separate between the Gazans people and Hamas. The Israelis have evidently realized that it's very hard to make this differentiation because the population is supporting the Hamas and they're all educated to hate and do as many October 7th as they can. The reality on the ground is not enabling to really help this population today, and the best solution for them for better life will be in a different place, while Israel, together with the Arab countries, rebuild Gaza and help and take out Hamas from there, which is kind of, if they were, one of the things that people were presenting during this war is that Hamas has kidnapped the people of Gaza. So this is an opportunity maybe to release them from Hamas and not let Hamas use them as human shields and get rid of Hamas at the end of the day, one day soon, hopefully in the soon future. And Gaza will be what it's supposed to be, a beautiful place and by the ocean. After it will have to rebuild.
Do you think it's possible that Egypt or Jordan would accept, 1.5 million to 2 million Gazan civilians?
I don't think that these are the right countries to do so because they're neighboring Israel. I think that there were also other names mentioned in the past week. If people listen carefully, if it's Albania or Malaysia or other places around the world. And again, I don't think it should be pushed by force. I think people there will want to go. And that's an assumption. I mean, the leadership will try to prevent it. I think it could have happened at the beginning of the war that the world will send boats. And I think our leadership mistakenly not promoted it in a way that, again, as a help for the civilians of Gaza to find a safe shelter, until we'll get rid of this problem that people that support Gaza claim that these people hurt the people of Gaza as well, Hamas. So we need to take care of Hamas. Now, whether it's Egypt or Jordan, I think finally speaking about it, it's a good idea. Again, not sending people by force, but helping them. And that's, I think, what Trump means.
That's a huge distinction. As I mentioned earlier, you were in a reconnaissance unit, a special unit inside the IDF. So you've seen this up close and personal. What is it like in Gaza right now? Obviously, there's a very tenuous ceasefire that's sort of holding, but the images that we see are utter destruction. So, what's the path forward? I mean, how likely is something like this to happen? Or is this kind of political posturing to get, surrounding Arab nations to help? What's the reality like on the ground right now in Gaza?
No, I haven't been to Gaza. I finished my service in the reserve and I did volunteer to do some guarding missions during this war. But as we see from what the pictures coming back and friends that have been there, definitely, and also UN reports are showing us that a lot of these houses have been damaged during the war because Hamas was using them and the IDF had to attack. to prevent, again, Hamas using these facilities, these houses and schools and everything that they were using to attack Israel from. The information I'm getting is that it's going to take only 40 years to just clear the gravel and the ruins from that area, and then there's talks about dozens of thousands of units that have been destroyed during the war. It's a reality that is basically, again, people lost their houses, they left it or they stayed around. Hamas was using it. It got hurt by the war, and now let's deal with the reality.
So I'm not going to ask you to wade into American politics, because that's never a good idea. But what do you see as the Trump effect in the Middle East? It's only been a few days at this point. What do you see as maybe the narratives being changed, the impossible ideas maybe happening nowadays? So what do you see as the Trump effect in the Middle East right now?
Wow, that's even before he came into office, already right after he was elected, you could feel the difference. First of all, only today, Israel got, I think, few dozens of bulldozer D9s that were needed again to fight, because that these bulldozers can lead forces and protect them from anti-tank missiles and stuff. They were held by the former government, and they didn't get to Israel. Today they did arrive. The deal that is going on right now between Israel and Hamas is a result of, for sure, Trump pressure. I can tell you as an Israeli that I'm not so sure that everyone are happy about it. And again, I'm not stepping into American politics. I can talk about Israeli feelings and Israeli politics as well. Also, with our other subject, we should definitely go into Israeli politics with that as well. But the feeling is that definitely there was strong pressure to just get a deal. And the deal that was on the table is the one we see today. And I just only a minute ago, I just saw that the Iranians are even talking about negotiations about the nuclear situation of them with Trump. So there's a lot of changes. I cannot judge. I cannot tell you if it's good or not, but definitely there's a lot of changes. People hope for good and pray for good. And it seems like Trump whole administration is definitely standing with Israel, and it's very good for us.
Well, you mentioned the deal. I think for a lot of folks watching this from the outside, people wonder, is it, obviously every hostage is worth an infinite amount, but it seems like Israel is having to pay an exorbitant price to get its hostage back. You talk about what happened in the past, where 1,000 Palestinian prisoners were released a decade and a half ago, one of them being Yahya Sinwar, who was the mastermind of October 7th. So what's the feeling amongst Israelis? Are they happy about this deal? Obviously, hostages are being released, but at a huge cost, releasing basically terrorists back into different locations. What is the feeling of, I know that's obviously a broad question, of the Israeli public when it comes to this deal?
I think everyone feels the same, but support, there's if there's 51% this one and there's people 51, the government was even divided with accepting the deal or not. And it's an interesting feeling because everyone are so happy with seeing the hostages back, but are so worried and sad and with seeing these pictures of these terrorists being released, and the fact that there's a strong feeling of a loss. And to be honest, we lost on October 7th. The moment it happened, we already lost. And many of the people that back then on October 8th were saying, we lost, we need to accept it, we need to release whoever we can to get the hostages back. It did not happen then. And while happening now after a war of 15 months, it's even harder, this feeling of lost. But I think that many people are talking very quiet about it. Again, you'll hear people that are very supportive of the agreement saying we should have done it in May and this and that, and because obviously life, Israeli life, Jewish life matters more than anything else. But then you have these people, part of them are families of hostages that are not including in the first stage of the deal, saying, I mean, we should have brought them to surrender and give our hostages back, all of them. And I think the main thing is that we don't know. The current feeling is bad, good and bad. Again, seeing the girls coming back 2 days ago was everyone has tears in their eyes, and I am personally supportive of that. But then you start seeing Trump talking about something that the right wing in Israel was kind of like talking a little bit about it, but not too loud, because it sounds very provocative. And I think the language should change, and maybe this is part of the deal, because Israel, and everyone's saying in Israel, that at the end of the deal, which has to include the rest of the hostages, not the one that are in the first stage, the 33 hostages, the end of this deal, which will take a long time, Hamas cannot control Gaza. How do we do that? It's a big question, because they still want to control Gaza. They're not going to give up. There's different constellations for changing the names of the leaders, but they will still be in charge in different things. We've been to these lies, and I think we just have to be patient and wait. And we have to wait. We have to trust our leaders, and if they are not going to do the good job to replace them in elections and bring peace and the safety to everyone.
That's all very helpful, Yoav. Last question. This is CBN. So my question to you is, if my friend here is watching, how can we be praying for Israel and the Jewish people?
As my last sentence was saying, for safety and peace. And I think also pray for the truth to come to the hearts of people. And this is something I'm dealing with it a lot in the past year. A lot of people that are supporting us don't even know all the story and can't answer. For example, they did October 7 and everything, but you took their land. And I think a lot of it is a lack of knowledge, that we need to educate people to see the truth. And Raj, that I have neighbors, and I think this is the best message I can have. I have Arab neighbors inside Israel. We live inside Israel, and not because we are liberals or we're trying to bring, purposely a message like that, because this is our life. We get along. I go to them, they come. I mean, we're neighbors. We're good neighbors right outside of Jerusalem. And this is, I think, a message that can lead or should happen in the land. When you don't come to me to kill me, peace is there. So pray for peace and safety and security.
Amen.
For everyone.
Amen.
Open the hearts of truth.
Amen. Well, toda rabah, which means thank you very much in Hebrew. Yoav, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you, Raj.